So South Korea's economy is right on track with strong export growth and stable inflation. President Yoon Suk Yeol said so himself on Wednesday. And it's only looking like being better in the latter half of the year. We're joined by Professor Lee Seo-hyun this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
The Finance Ministry has raised its forecast for economic growth for South Korea this year from 2.2% to 2.6%. Professor, the question is this achievable growth?
Actually, the growth forecast revision of this 0.4 percentage point is mostly based on the recovery in exports, and it is driven by sustained demand for semiconductor globally and supported by expanding AI services and cloud server businesses. The recovery, however, will be uneven as domestic demand will remain fragile amid the high interest rate environment. One of the key risks to the optimistic forecast is that the domestic demand could strengthen only gradually, strained by household debt and weak construction sector.
And it's not just the South Korean government. International organizations have also raised the forecast for South Korea. So all the figures, both at home and abroad, indicate the South Korean economy is doing all right. But that isn't directly leading to improving people's livelihoods. Why is that?
So while the overall economic forecast is on the positive side, the economic situation for ordinary people may remain very challenging. High inflation is causing a delay in the recovery of consumer spending. In particular, cost of living crisis still remains for many vulnerable households. High household debt, along with stagnant real estate market, weigh on the Korean economy as well. So the recovery driven by the export sector will take time to be felt by ordinary consumers.
Right, so high inflation is something people living in Korea can all relate to, and what point out as one of the most serious concerns at the moment. Then I have to ask you, when will it be finally tamed to the point where we don't have to worry about, let's say, going grocery shopping?
Inflation is expected to come down gradually to the Bank of Korea's target level of 2% by the end of next year. But to most of the household, what is felt is the relative price level of their consumption basket. Obviously, inflation is an increase in price level, so any positive inflation rate number means the price level is still rising. So the average level of prices continues to increase, even though the rate of inflation has fallen from the previous years. So most people are still suffering from the escalated price level of their consumption basket due to the accumulation of higher inflation rate for about 2 years.
Professor Lee, let's talk about the economic blueprint that was rolled out by the government yesterday. President Yoon pointed out that small business owners who are hit hard by the pandemic are still, struggling to get back on their feet. This time, the government will pour $18 billion into assisting them. How are the plans different this time? Are they more customized?
So for small businesses and self-employed, the government announced that it will provide policy loans with extended repayment periods with a slightly lower interest rate, while seeking policy measures to lower fixed costs such as utility fees and rents. And the package also includes support for the digital transformation for small businesses, tailored to the specific needs by industry and by the size of the firms. The government plans to provide smart devices and customer management services software, which will also align well with their individual needs.
So lots of plans that are detailed this time. Then from an expert's point of view, will the plans actually help them this time? What's your take on this?
So due to the very low barriers to entry, the share of the self-employed is relatively high in South Korea compared to the OECD average, and business closures for some of the non-profitable firms is a natural process and may help improve economy-wide productivity. One of the policy measures included in the package is a second chance policy that enables bankrupt entrepreneurs to restart. The government plans to expand the scope of debt restructuring and increase the scale of the New Start Fund to strengthen recovery support for the vulnerable small business owners. And I think this plan will help improve firm dynamism, promoting innovation and boosting economic-wide productivity.
hopefully they will work. All right, Professor Lee Seo-hyun, thank you so much for your time and insight this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.